Let's talk about the best team in Pokemon Sword and Shield. No, it's not this lone level 100 Meowth, it's going to be this group of hooligans I put together in about a day. So 10 hours of work got me my first competitive team, and I'll start off with Pokemon that I was very interested in, or Pokemon that I've always loved. Togekiss, the Scarfkiss, this has been my boy since Generation 4, and it's still viable today. That makes me happy. Phalanx, while I'm not a fan of its design, I think it's one of those Generation 8 abominations, I'm compelled by how it plays, because you have a move that gives +1 to everything. That's ridiculous. Toxapex, Toxabest, one of my favorites from the newer generations. Cinderace, another very compelling new Pokemon that I feel kind of rounds the team together. Aegislash, always just a good high skill cap Pokemon. If you play it really well and outplay your, like if you get that 1 or 2 outplay with an Aegislash during a game, you can really just take a game like that. Then Drifblim, once again, tried and true classic that I love on my team. So what I want to say is that this is not going to be a super formal team building guide. I'm going to do one of those. This is mostly just kind of like putting together your first team, figuring out how it goes, making adjustments, and then just kind of like seeing how Pokemon Sword and Shield works. I think we need a little bit more than a week in the games to actually like really come up with some solid team building. I haven't even looked at half of it. I haven't even looked at a quarter, a fifth of the decks competitively for Generation 8. So I don't know where we're going to be taking it so far, but my advice for team building, I have 2 big things. Start with your favorites, go out and lose. Those are my 2 biggest things for like getting good at competitive Pokemon, because by losing, you learn what you did wrong. That if you make a mistake, you're not going to make that mistake again. You might see this a lot inside my battles where I go, this isn't the best play to make, but I want to know what happens. I'm okay with taking a loss as long as I get information. You learn more from a loss than you do a win, and then you know what to do in the next situation, so that 1 loss means a dozen wins in the future if you find yourself in that situation and you know how to overcome it. And then picking your favorites, now, most likely 6 of your favorites aren't going to work inside a game, but I think you can start building around. You know, get 3 or 4 of your favorite Pokemon that you must have on your team, then put 2 others to kind of round out, depending on what's popular in the meta, and then that's how it's going to work. And one way of finding Pokemon that are popular in the meta is just going to be going out and playing. So put together a team, see what everyone's running, see what those Pokemon are wanting to do, and then you can either add them to your team because they're really good, or you can try to formulate counters around them and then just kind of build your team in that more anti-meta way. That's always been my playstyle. I prefer anti-meta and I prefer heavy setup, because if you can just kind of catch your opponent asleep on one little bit of a moment and you can get just a free setup turn, it's going to improve your chances of winning. That works for me. It might not work for you. Pokemon be crazy like that. So yeah, you just have to like kind of gain experience before you can really apply anything inside the games in a substantial way. It also brings me to another thing, is that there is no best Pokemon team. That you can say like, oh, these Pokemon are strong, but they might not have synergy. So yeah, say there's like a list of like the top 6 best Pokemon Sword and Shield. Put them all on a team, they might not work together because the synergy is kind of broken, or they might want to do the same kind of similar things because that's what makes them so good. You know, there's always going to be a counter. There's a good chance that in some Pokemon battles, you're just going to throw out a Pokemon and your lead cost you the entire battle. That there's nothing you can do, put you at such a disadvantage. Their 3 Pokemon they picked completely trump yours, or your 6 Pokemon team can't break anything about their 6 Pokemon team. Now, I'm mostly going to be talking about ranked battle spot, or, you know, battle stadium, so 3v3s, and even then, there's like a lot of crazy things that can happen. That's, you know, bring 6, pick 3, you have to predict your opponent pretty hard on that one. 6v6 is a lot easier to understand, but you can still have some, like, really bad times there, but 3v3 I think is the most unforgiving when it comes to leads and your selection. That's why you want to have a rounded team to where you can try to pick for the best or worst case scenario against what their team is going to bring. And that means mitigating weaknesses. So I've played this team for a bit. I did really well with it, but I can certainly do better. And my biggest problem right now feels like the Phalanx, because this Phalanx, Choice Band, no retreat. Competitive players can tell that something is fishy here, so that means this Pokemon can only Dynamax. The plan is, I use 1 turn to set up no retreat. No retreat is busted. Raises all of the user's stats, but prevents switching. I don't care about switching or fleeing. You just gain stats, and then you Dynamax, and now Choice Band doesn't apply with Dynamax, so I can use Close Combat to gain my attack. I can use Smart Strike for coverage, because Fairy-type Pokemon are going to be very strong against my Fighting type. Hit them with a Steel-type move, they're not going to like that. Throat Chop for coverage, but I can gain defenses this way. And then when my Dynamax wears off, I lock myself into Close Combat, Smart Strike, or maybe whatever move is just going to nuke out the opponent, and that's going to be very powerful. But the big focus on my team is using Togekiss for Dynamax. So I can only bring one of these guys, which is really bad because it's always going to be a 5v6 in a 3v3 format. Really reduces my options, and I haven't built the team around Phalanx. I built the team more around Togekiss. That brings us to other problems. Toxapex. With Togekiss being my main carry, we have like dual electric weakness, so 2/3 of my team could be electric weak. My entire team could be electric weak if I bring Drifblim, and then depending on my backup Pokemon, if Togekiss comes down, I'm going to be very susceptible to Earthquake, because I bring Togekiss, Toxapex, Cinderace, or Aegislash. 2 of these 3 guys most of the time. And they're all weak to Earthquake. So if Togekiss doesn't take out the Earthquaking threat, which probably won't happen because a Rock-type Pokemon is going to be strong against Togekiss being flying and not having any coverage against the Rock types, Air Slash, Flamethrower, Dragon Kiss, not going to really get too much done in that situation. So we need to make some changes on this one. As much as I love Aegislash, I think it needs a different team composition. So we're going to take out Aegislash. We're also going to take out Phalanx. And I think this is a good place to start. Now, Cinderace, I thought it'd be good at the 119 speed, but speed creep in Pokemon Sword and Shield is something crazy. Also, I have to kind of like I don't know. This competitive box stuff is weird because I kind of have to like unregister all of, if not most. Actually, no, wait. We can go Team 1. I'm still trying to figure this out. I don't really play with the boxes too much. So I can find these Pokemon. They're unregistered, so that means I can swap them out here. I can change them. Good. All right. So I want to take out the Life Orb because we need speed. So I feel that being a coverage Choice Scarf response is going to be better for this Pokemon, but I don't have Choice Scarf, so let's go and buy one. Fortunately, when it comes to the Battle Stadium, you get battle points, so now I'm just able to kind of use battle points to build my team, and then use battle points to adjust and finish my team. So we got Choice Scarf right there. Boom. Let's go and add that to Cinderace. He's not in my party. I'm still also getting used to having like an always accessible PC. These quality of life improvements are so good I can't even take advantage of them. So add the Choice Scarf to the Cinderace. We should be in business. Wait, did I already? No, okay, there it is. I was about to say, like, did I already have one? No, it's just... Okay, apparently I ended up with one at some point. I have no idea what I'm doing. Either way, Cinderace needs the Choice Scarf. I think I bought one yesterday, and then I forgot I bought one. So that's now going to make my team better against sweeping, because if Togekiss comes down, now I just have slow, tanky Pokemon that can get overrun. So now we go back to this. I guess I'm also just kind of showing you guys like efficient ways of setting up the way that you're building your team. So we can work with this. Now, this means we're definitely still going to need something that's strong against electric, strong against ground, and now we can start looking at some other Pokemon options. So I'm thinking Hippowdon is going to be really good for my team, because Earthquake, that's going to be the primary ground move. Sometimes you see the Earth Power, but Hippowdon is one of the best defensive tanks in the game. So Hippowdon, Toxapex Core, supporting my Togekiss could be really hard to beat. Now, for the most part, no matter what the opponent leads, I still just like commit a Dynamax with my Togekiss. I just throw damage at the opponent, and generally that's going to force them to Dynamax. So then the rest of the game is going to be neutral. Their Dynamax wears off, I come in and I set up on Toxapex, and Toxapex has turned out to be the best Pokemon in Generation 8 for me. I have it somewhere, yeah. Toxapex has turned out to be the best Pokemon in Generation 8 for me, but your results may vary. I run Stockpile Set. I get in, I take a super effective hit, I stockpile, I recover, I stockpile, recover, stockpile, recover, and then I'm unkillable. I've salvaged games where Togekiss put in a little bit of work, Cinderace didn't do anything, Aegislash might have gotten swept out, something went wrong, and then Toxapex wins me the game because it's so darn filthy tanky. So if I can actually... So what I learned is, like, Togekiss is good, Toxapex is really good, so all I really need is that third to bring the team together, and to make up for both weaknesses, why not hit 2 birds with 1 stone? If I see a Rotom and I switch into the Hippowdon, they can't do anything. Rotom has been a big problem for me because Toxapex can't do anything to it, Togekiss can't do anything to it, Aegislash can't do anything to it, especially if it's Rotom Heat. So that kind of reduces my options, which means we bring in the Hippowdon. Now I can at least wall that off. If they go for Dynamax, I just go into Hippowdon. If I trade some damage on Hippowdon or my entire Hippowdon for their Dynamax Rotom, that at least gives me a chance to come back and do something else against it. So that's something to consider. So I feel if I add Hippowdon with the changes with Cinderace, then, I want to say Scorbunny, but with Cinderace, then we're going to be good to go. But what about other Pokemon? Well, the strongest team I've gone up against so far is a full evolution team, and that's because the Vaporeon shut me down. I've also noticed bulky water just being good. I saw someone run a Lantern, and I lost to that Lantern. I'm ashamed to admit that, but my Togekiss led against it. He just straight Dynamaxed the Lantern, set up electric terrain, did a lot of damage. I couldn't do anything to him, started stockpiling, and then the game was over before I knew it. So you can actually like use bulky water-type Pokemon to really cancel out a lot of things. Vaporeon has Haze. I've been hearing some other rumblings in my Discord, shout-outs to that, about other people using Haze. And yeah, just Vaporeon's been always a tanky Pokemon, always consistent. I feel like the stat distribution on the evolutions gives you a lot of room to play around with the reduced decks, and evolutions are incredibly successful. Jolteon comes in, does really well in a lot of situations, really well as well in a lot of situations. You have grammar, but so there's things to pay attention to there. Haze seems really powerful because Pokemon are coming out with stat boosts from the Dynamax, or also just heavy setup in general, I've been seeing a lot of, which means naturally bulky Pokemon like the Ferrothorn, like the Toxapex, if they're not eating super effective moves, they're going to be really good. So every team feels like it has a Ferrothorn, every team feels like it has a Dragapult, almost every team feels like it has a Rotom. Take that in consideration. Use these Pokemon because they're successful against what's good. Rotom lead into Ferrothorn, Ferrothorn's gone, and even if you like use an overheat and they switch, they're still taking a lot of damage, and Dynamax makes Scarf Rotom better than ever in like the craziest way. Like, because then if you don't want to switch out, you can just Dynamax, your Scarf doesn't matter anymore, you still have the speed from the Scarf, so you're doing crazy sweeping things, and now you can just start stacking that advantage. Use a Thunderbolt, well that becomes that sets electric terrain, use Thunderbolt again, now you're getting bonus damage, and then just do whatever. Will-O-Wisp or Pain Split, I don't know about Pain Split, but you know, Will-O-Wisp ends up becoming max guard, so you can guard a move if things get bad, and then you can still just like lead Rotom and have a lot of advantage. You can lead a lot of Pokemon and then bail yourself out with a Dynamax. My team doesn't have that luxury. My team is aggro, if Dynamax fails, and I might want to consider that. So we're just going to put, I might have a Hippopotas just like placeholder for Hippowdon. I don't have Hippo, but Renoregus is really good. I just like Hippowdon because it can slack off and heal, so I can switch in, maybe take an off hit, not really worry too much, heal, and then what's Hippowdon going to be weak against? Well, that's where we just kind of keep looking at how these Pokemon cover for each other really well. Water, Grass, Ice. Hold up. Water, Ice, and then neutral on the grass for Toxapex. So this is where like we try to look for things. That means I have a kind of Psychic weakness, and that's it. And then Ground, like, doesn't really do... Yeah, so Psychic Ground isn't going to be covered by Hippowdon, but Hippowdon doesn't really care about eating any of those hits, and it'll just shrug it off. So that's where I'm just trying to, like, make a core. And in 3v3s, I think a core is very important. So the last Pokemon I would need to come up with would need to be a Pokemon that if I go into it, or if I lead into it, then maybe I can try to burn the opponent's Dynamax. You know, just maybe lead Cinderace, try to scare them. If they force Dynamax, I go into Toxapex or Hippowdon, depending on, like, what their team... it doesn't break as much. Like, you know, if they have like a lot of electric or a lot of ground, I'm not bringing Toxapex, I'm going to bring Hippowdon, vice versa. A lot of water, a lot of like anti-Hippowdon stuff, just bring Toxapex. So lead Cinderace, force their Dynamax, go into Toxapex, maybe win, because Toxapex is just one of the strongest Pokemon I've ever used in Generation 8. And then when all that's done, Togekiss comes in. As long as I've dealt with all the Togekiss threats, Dynamax win. If they have a Rotom, Hippowdon, I'm thinking Rock Slide on it. That's going to take care of at least Flame Rotom, like Rotom Heat, and then Rotom Wash is still going to not be able to... Actually, Rotom Wash wrecks it. So if I see Rotom Wash, maybe that's not the strat, because then Cinderace can't do it. So this is what I mean. You either have to learn, you have to do all of these mental exercises to figure out what happens, and see it. So if I see Rotom Wash, Toxapex can't really do anything. That might be something my team can't deal with. So my fourth Pokemon, or not fourth, my sixth, should be something that handles Rotom Wash, which is just a grass Pokemon. So a bulky grass Pokemon, maybe not setup. I already have enough setup. A lot of stockpile. I'm thinking about maybe putting stockpile onto Hippowdon as well. Togekiss, it's about trying to turn into Scarf Kiss by Dynamaxing, using the air attack, or so flying attack, Windstorm I think it's called. I don't know all the max moves yet. So I gain speed off that. I have Specs plus speed at the same time, and I do crazy things. So just having like a naturally strong grass-type Pokemon should round out the team and make me just able to deal with everything. And that's just going to be one of those things. Like, I have to put a Pokemon in my team, I have to go, oh, that's going to crush me. Maybe so, like, I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to use Arena. I don't think it's that good of a Pokemon. Let's say I do this. Let's say this is my team. I might not see any weaknesses yet. I'm going to have to go out and see it. Or maybe because I'm watching this video, someone's going to go, this Pokemon's common and it stomps you. You can't run that team. So people are going to see different things than I do. I'm going to have different thoughts about it than people do. Like, you know, Toxapex wins against Rotom. Like, if there's no hacks, no Dynamax, and it's just a Rotom versus Toxapex, I stockpile, I recover, I stockpile, recover, and then I beat it. People might be like, no, you just lose every time. However, I might be running a set that they're not anticipating. So here's my movesets. Also, I know that people want to see the effort values. So we can hit X, and we got that going. So special attack speed, hit point, split defense, special defense nature, no hit point investment, defense, or special defense with the defensive nature. Maybe special defense, because, like, special attacks, those Thunderbolts, they're wrecking me right now. Shadow Ball could potentially wreck me. I was thinking about doing this for Dragapult, but if I need a candy, or not a candy, a mint, I can change that. Cinderace, of course, Jolly attack, offensive. And then I'm thinking defensive nature, max hit points, 200 special defense, rest in defense on Hippowdon, and then just, you know, a hit point attack, grass response Pokemon. If I can take 3 hits, I can put back some hits, that's going to be good. Rillaboom would be wild. I talked about the idea of like an Assault Vest Rillaboom, and Assault Vest Rillaboom, while it's not like the best Pokemon, might actually be really good to hold this team together in like some kind of crazy way, you know? So this is what I mean, like, people are going to see things, I'm not going to see things, I'm blind until it, you know, illuminates itself to me, and then we'll kind of see how the rest of it goes. But also, yeah, like I said, I tried to run what I wanted to run. Few things stopped me. I still have a very positive win rate. I think I'm like 75-80% win rate. So that's kind of it. If I want to build a Phalanx team, I'd have to do something completely different. So, you know, what we can do is, that's competitive rate Pokemon. We can move him over there. He's out of the way. Aegislash might need its own other team as well. I tried Dynamax Aegislash. I don't know. I think Drifblim Aegislash is a really powerful combo, but I need like another Dynamax Pokemon to, you know, be the glue of the team instead of Togekiss. All of these Pokemon are too high risk reward. That's generally what a lot of people say about my teams. If one thing fails, it's going to be really hard. If one link breaks, it's not over, but I have to really fight for my battle. If everything goes smoothly, then I crush people. Like, if you can't stop Togekiss, it's a win anyways. If you immediately nuke out the Togekiss, it's a 2v3 and I'm playing from a disadvantage. So that's kind of like it. You know, you just have to build your team, you have to work around. But I think I'm on the brink of making the quote-unquote best Pokemon Sword and Shield team. And that just comes down to what I face, what's in the meta, and how hard I can roll with it, or how hard I end up getting stomped. That Evolution team just tilted me for the rest of my life, though. So, hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.